Imagine you're lying on your back, 65 feet above the floor, paint dripping into your eyes, neck aching, the Pope shouting from below that you're too slow and too expensive. That was Michelangelo Buonarroti for 4 solid years between 1508 and 1512. And somewhere in the middle of that torment he painted the single most famous square foot of paint in the history of the world. The moment when God's finger almost, but not quite, touches Adam's. We all know the picture. Even people who think Caravaggio is a type of pasta know this one. God, bearded, vigorous, wrapped in a raspberry pink cloak that billows like a sail, surges forward, surrounded by angels. Adam, the first man, beautiful, sleepy, a bit bored actually, lifts one languid arm. Between their 2 index fingers there is a tiny gap, no wider than a matchstick, yet everything, life, death, sin, redemption, the whole human story, depends on that gap. But why is it so powerful? Why 500 years later, does it still stop us in our tracks? Let's start with the body. Michelangelo didn't paint God as some misty spirit floating in the clouds. He painted him as a muscular old man with pecs and biceps and a belly you could bounce a coin off. This is the God who wrestled with Jacob, the God who strode across the mountains like a storm. He's not gentle, not yet. He's urgent. His eyes are locked on Adam with the intensity of a father who's about to pass on something dangerous and wonderful. And Adam? He's the most perfect male body ever painted. And he knows it. Look at the way he reclines on the bare earth, one knee up, arm draped over it like a bored film star on a photo shoot. There's a marvelous laziness in him. He's not reaching desperately for life. He's letting life come to him. That little lift of the wrist is about as much effort as he can be bothered to make. Michelangelo is telling us something cheeky here. Humanity, even at the moment of its birth, is already a bit idle, a bit vain, already half in love with itself. Now look at the space between the fingers. Everyone talks about the spark of life jumping across that gap, but Michelangelo never actually paints the spark. There's just emptiness. And that emptiness is everything. It's the distance between the infinite and the finite, between perfection and imperfection, between what we are and what we might become. It's the space where free will lives. God could force the connection, close the gap, but he doesn't. He waits. Adam has to choose to stretch that last millimeter. In that almost touch lies the entire tragedy and glory of being human. There's another secret hidden in plain sight. Look at the cloak swirling around God and the angels. If you trace its outline, it forms the exact shape of a human brain. The billowing pink fabric is the cerebral cortex. The angels tucked underneath are the frontal lobes. Michelangelo, who dissected corpses by candlelight, has painted God not just giving life to man, but giving man the very thing that makes him human. Intelligence, imagination, consciousness. The spark of life is also the spark of thought. It's one of the cleverest visual puns in all art. And he never told a soul. And then there's Eve. She's there too, if you know where to look. Peek under God's left arm. Our right, there's a young woman with a wonderfully knowing face, peering out at Adam, as if to say, "You're going to need me in about 5 minutes, sunshine." Michelangelo has collapsed time. Past, present, and future are all happening at once on that ceiling. Creation, fall, redemption. Everything is all one story. People sometimes complain that the Sistine Chapel is too crowded, too muscular, too macho. But that's the point. This is the moment when raw energy pours into the world. It's not polite. It's not calm. It's like the Big Bang in paint, Every figure is straining, twisting, exploding out of the frame. Even the prophets and sibyls sitting quietly in their niches look as if they've been bench-pressing cathedrals. Michelangelo was 33 when he started the ceiling, 37 when he painted the creation of Adam. He hated the job. He wrote poems about how the work was breaking his body, how paint dripped into his beard and made him look like a snowman. He called himself a sculptor forced to act the house painter. Yet out of that misery, he produced something that feels effortless, inevitable, as if it had always existed, and he simply uncovered it. There's a photograph from the 1980s restoration before they cleaned the ceiling. The creation of Adam looked brown, murky, half asleep. Then the centuries of soot and candle smoke and glue from old restorations came off, and suddenly the colors blazed: raspberry, turquoise, lemon yellow, emerald. God's cloak was shocking pink. The picture we thought we knew turned out to be 10 times more vivid, more modern, more alive than anyone remembered. It was like meeting an old friend who'd secretly been going to the gym for 20 years. And that, in a way, is what the creation of Adam keeps doing. Every time you think you've got it figured out, it surprises you again. It's sensual and spiritual at the same time. It's tender and terrifying. It's the most optimistic image ever painted. Life is offered freely, joyously, and the most pessimistic. Look how half-heartedly we reach back. 5 centuries later, in a world of selfies and filters and artificial intelligence, that lazy, beautiful, slightly vain Adam still looks uncannily like us. We're still lying there on the bare earth, one arm half raised, waiting for something to complete us, not quite sure whether we deserve it or even want and to close the gap. But the finger is still there, still outstretched, still waiting.